When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
Have you heard the rumor that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston had an affair that ended his marriage? People that I respect, some that I even love, who may or may not watch this show.
Did Barack Obama's presidency serve as a carefully crafted mirage masking layers the public was never meant to uncover? That's the burning question reigniting online debates, giving old rumors a new spark. And no one struck the match quite like Cat Williams. In a viral stand-up clip, Cat didn't just joke, he stripped away the sheen from America's first black president. While most praised Obama's charm and diplomacy, Cat broke rank. He labeled him a safe, white-approved, black, man-polished, market-friendly, and far removed from the streets he claimed. It sounded like comedy, but it landed like a statement. If people laughed, they also paused to ask Quez, the Obama we saw only a version they wanted us to see.
The thing is, so the Bidens and the Obamas hate each other because Michelle Obama is very good friends with Hunter Biden's ex-wife. So that's led to a significant problem where they don't like Hunter, and if you don't like Hunter, Joe doesn't like you. So I would not be surprised if Holmes is right on with this of like, oh, well, why don't we do this?
It's like, oh man, you give us problems, maybe you can have a problem.
But Williams wasn't done. He gestured towards something bigger, what some call cultural programming. He didn't sugarcoat it either, suggesting Obama's presidency, despite its hopeful image, was more about fitting into the system than breaking it. And now, looking back, those jabs don't sound like throwaway jokes anymore. They feel like early warnings, especially as America wrestles with the lingering impact of Obama's legacy. One debate has surged to the forefront, the rise of mentors in schools and what that shift reveals about the values planted during Obama's time in office.
I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves.
Connecting the dots isn't far-fetched. For years, critics claimed Obama advanced what they called a pro-homosexuality agenda. The phrase is controversial, but it hasn't gone away, especially in conservative spaces. Under his watch, LGBTQ visibility soared from rainbow-lit White House celebrations to new federal protections that were hailed by some and criticized by others. Now, fast forward to today's schools. The debate isn't just about teaching diversity, it's about selecting mentors based on LGBTQ identity. Is that progressive programming? Was this change organic or something set in motion years back? And came a spark that reignited the fire. Joan Rivers' most controversial sidewalk interview. Just weeks before undergoing a routine throat procedure that turned tragic, Rivers dropped what she called a public secret. We already have a gay president, she said. Michelle is a transgender. She said it casually, with no hesitation. People were stunned. Some laughed it off, others were outraged, but a quiet few leaned in. Joan didn't flinch, didn't retract. And when asked to explain, she calmly doubled down. A transgender, we all know. Who was we and what gave her such certainty?
I mean, there's, not to add insult to injury, but there's a Daily Mail report out today saying Kamala Harris's marriage may be on the rocks. Like everybody's on the rocks. Again, I will say I love the Daily Mail, but the sourcing appeared weak. It was like people who know the couple, but like, I don't know if it's any better than that, but they're saying she's blaming him in part for her loss because he turned out to be such a hot mess liability. You buy it?
Let's be honest, Joan Rivers thrived on controversy. She roasted celebrities, offended entire audiences, and wore her TV bans like trophies. But this wasn't about fashion flops or Hollywood gossip. This went straight to the heart of the Obama's public image, and less than 2 months later, she was gone. Not from illness, not from a known risk, but from a routine medical procedure, where her oxygen dropped, her vitals crashed and help came too late. Was it tragic coincidence? Something darker? A darker theory took hold. Some claimed it wasn't an accident but a silencing by neglect. That Joan spoke out, and someone ensured she wouldn't speak again. This wasn't wild speculation alone. Her procedure was reportedly unauthorized, and the clinic admitted fault in a malpractice settlement with her daughter, Melissa. There's no official tie to the Obamas. On the contrary, President Obama even sent Melissa a handwritten letter praising Joan's sharp wit and intellect. To many, that was kindness, but to the suspicious, that letter felt like carefully crafted damage control. If her words were nonsense, why respond at all?
At all, but if it is true, it truly would be a political earthquake in Democrat circles. Never mind America. I don't remember a presidential divorce in modern history.
And Joan wasn't the only one stirring the pot. An old interview with Larry Sinclair, ex-con known for bold claims, resurfaced with fresh fire. He alleged a late 90s encounter with Obama involving a substance that rhymes with Cain, and an unspoken night. Credible? Not in court. But the timing was suspicious. Tucker Carlson gave him airtime, and the internet lit up. Suddenly, Joan's old words didn't seem so crazy to some. True or not, the controversy hasn't faded. If anything, it's what keeps the fire burning. Because the real question now isn't just who Obama was, what kind of legacy he left behind.
Gotta spend a minute on the Obamas, because there seems to be some momentum picking up in the rumor mill about their marriage. All right, I'm gonna bring you what I know.
And that's when the murmurs began. Quiet at first, buried in comment sections, and whispered on podcasts, then louder on talk radio. That maybe Barack and Michelle aren't really together anymore, that they lead separate lives. That Michelle skipping Trump's inauguration and even Carter's funeral wasn't political, it was personal. But what if these aren't just rumors? What if they're puzzle pieces people are starting to connect? Suddenly, Joan Rivers' final interview doesn't feel like a joke, but a warning. The internet isn't just fascinated by what she said, it's how she said it, like it was plain as day. Like we'd all been choosing not to look. And when asked to clarify, she didn't flinch. "It's okay," she said. "It's not a bad thing." And just like that, she walked off. No wink, no smirk, just a statement left hanging in the air. Was her unexpected death weeks later just a coincidence? Or did Joan Rivers stumble too close to something real, something still buried?
So the truth about Jen and Barack is that there is no truth.
There is
It
no
untrue.
truth.
You know Barack Obama.
I've met him once.
Met him once.
I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth about you and Michelle that we should know?
That is not true.
Things only got more unsettling when people started digging into the details of her final moments. Reports from federal health officials painted a troubling picture: an unprepared clinic, protocols ignored, and a dosage of anesthesia far higher than needed. Her oxygen dropped dangerously for minutes and no one moved. And here's the twist. The doctors allegedly began a procedure she never gave written consent for. This wasn't some back alley clinic, it was a respected facility in the heart of New York City. How does someone like Joan Rivers just vanish after a supposedly routine visit, especially after saying what she said publicly about one of the most protected couples in modern politics? Maybe we're imagining connections, or maybe not. Because when someone as unfiltered and fearless as Joan goes silent under mysterious circumstances, the questions don't just disappear. She had already called Obama the first gay president and claimed Michelle was a transgender, we all know. Her words weren't speculative, they were definitive. And then came silence. Total, permanent. So many loose ends, an unlicensed doctor snapping selfies while she was sedated, surveillance footage from the clinic mysteriously gone, a so-called minor surgery that spiraled into a fatal event, and yet, no criminal accountability. Why?
She is not sorry.
They are looking forward. All the women in your life are
all
looking
the women in
forward.
my life are looking forward to being able to live a more normal life.
Yeah, but still not entirely normal. Obviously, everybody's under the microscope at all
A little
times.
bit more.
And you're staying in Washington, D.C., which is unusual for an exiting president.
But Joan's case might just be the tip of the iceberg, because if Obama wasn't merely a political leader but a cultural architect, then the real stage may have been Hollywood all along. Over the past decade, we've seen TV and film shift dramatically. Stories once seen as fringe now dominate center stage. Inclusion stopped being encouraged, it became mandatory, wrapped in glitter, powered by applause. But was this transformation organic or orchestrated? One name unexpectedly surfaced in the chatter: Jennifer Aniston, a pairing no one saw coming. And yet, gossip columns and podcast hosts began to whisper. Were Obama and Aniston closer than they appeared? A tabloid headline snowballed into talk show jokes until Aniston addressed it on Kimmel, calling the rumor absolutely untrue and noting she barely knows Obama, but knows Michelle better still. The noise didn't stop because the real question wasn't about romance, it was about strategy.
For instance, this is a magazine that came out a couple of weeks ago. In touch said the truth about Jen and Barack. Now,
that was of all the calls you get from your
What if the connection between Aniston and Obama wasn't personal but purposeful? Since leaving office, Obama's been anything but quiet. With his production company Higher Ground, he's inked deals with streaming giants, launched documentaries, and embedded himself into the machinery of modern media. Aniston, meanwhile, has rebranded into a powerful media figure with massive reach. Together, they represent two of the most trusted faces in America, one political, one cultural. Is it really so far-fetched to think their alliance could serve a bigger narrative goal? If trust is influence, they're the perfect messengers. And if stories shape beliefs, who better to deliver them than Hollywood's elite? Here's where it gets unsettling, because if Obama's years in office were Act 1, Hollywood might be Act 2. Politics traded for programming, power exchanged for persuasion, and an entire generation raised on streaming content may not even notice the shift. Did progressive messaging flood our screens by chance? Or was it the next phase in a carefully crafted plan, waiting for the right producers and platforms to activate?
She's doing great in the school she currently attends, and our attitude is that if you have a teenager and you really want to make sure that they never talk to you again, then pull them out of high school right in the middle.
Yeah, you're right.
Of sophomore year. So look, they've made so many sacrifices.
They have, and they didn't get to decide that.
Exactly. So I want to make sure that they get.
Several industry insiders, speaking off the record, have suggested that Obama's influence in Hollywood runs deeper than most realize. From casting choices to script approvals, many believe the former president has quietly helped cultivate a cultural network and alliance of top-tier actors, producers, and showrunners united by a shared agenda. Whether that agenda is genuine or carefully orchestrated is where things get complicated. Even casual viewers have noticed a trend. Projects with strong social messages often receive expedited awards, buzz, viral attention, and glowing praise. And if the mastermind behind this is a former president with a powerful production company and a global platform, it wouldn't be the first time soft power shaped real-world outcomes. Meanwhile, rumors continue to swirl, talk of marital tensions, political disagreements, and Michelle Obama's notable absences from events like Carter's funeral and Trump's inauguration only add fuel to the fire. When a podcast hosted by well-connected Washington insiders casually claims the Obamas live separate lives, it's no surprise people pay attention, especially since the sources aren't obscure blogs, but respected political journalists.
And for me, going high is not losing the urgency or the passion or the rage, especially when you are justified in it. Going high means finding the purpose in your rage. Rage without reason, without a plan, without direction is just more rage.
Just as whispers of marital strain and media manipulation reached a fever pitch, the name Larry Sinclair resurfaced. His decades-old allegations dismissed by mainstream media as the ramblings of an unreliable figure have re-emerged, thanks to renewed interest from alternative media and a high-profile interview with a political commentator. Sinclair claims he and Obama shared a substance-fueled encounter in a limousine on a cold Chicago night in 1999, long before Obama was nationally known. His story was vivid, sensational, and very detailed, though Sinclair's credibility was thoroughly challenged back then, including failing a live polygraph test. The suspicious timing of his return is hard to ignore. What makes this so potent isn't just the lurid details, but the suggestion that large parts of Obama's pre-fame life remain scrubbed, sanitized, or locked away. The mainstream press quickly labeled Sinclair a convicted conman and moved on by. The absence of any follow-up investigation raises questions. Was this just a buried hoax, or something more troubling? A narrative so dangerous it needed to be quashed to protect the image of America's first black president.
Look at that and go, no, it is not. No? Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, the thing about what I learned in those 8 years is that home is where we make it, and we were in the White House for 8 years, but it wasn't the house, it was us in it. It was our values and our love for each other, and we just moved that to another house. So.
This opens a Pandora's box that the public has barely begun to confront. If even a fragment of Sinclair's story holds any truth, if parts of Obama's past were quietly swept under the rug, then what else remains hidden? In today's world, where every celebrity misstep becomes headline news in hours. How did a figure as globally scrutinized as Obama avoid such storms for over a decade? Whether Sinclair is a fraud or a whistleblower, his tale taps into a larger fear, that we're not just witnessing a polished political brand, but living inside a story with crucial chapters never told. Just as the dust begins to settle, the fire reignites. Meghan McCain, daughter of a late U.S. senator and no stranger to D.C. drama, revealed on air she's heard serious rumors of an Obama divorce shared by reputable journalists, not gossip outlets. Add resurfaced sightings of Jennifer Aniston at private Obama events. And suddenly the whole narrative feels less like fiction and more like a tale no one dares confirm publicly.
Of a marriage on the rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack. At first, it seemed ridiculous, but the rumors have remained steady among New York.
Here's the curious part. For every denial, new breadcrumbs appear: suspicious social media posts, missed public events, subtle body language shifts during rare appearances, all fueling speculation. Americans love a power couple, but they love a juicy scandal even more. And when a couple builds their image on unity, dignity, and transparency, even whispers of betrayal cut deep. But perhaps the real story isn't about divorce, rumors, or public handholding. Maybe it's about a different kind of power, one that doesn't rely on office walls or campaign trails. Maybe Obama's greatest legacy isn't just his speeches, laws, or presidency, but the quiet influence he continues to wield through platforms designed to entertain while subtly shaping how we think, vote, and live. Though his presidency ended years ago, the ripple effects of his reach are far from over. Are we ready to face the full truth of his legacy, or are we just scratching the surface of a carefully constructed illusion? Share your thoughts below. Is it all coincidence, or are the signs too obvious to ignore? Until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious, and always look twice.